But I want to get back to what my initial question was. Can you come up with any things from history of court cases that looked as though, hey man, this should have gone easy, but it got flipped and spun around?
I thought that's what I do. That's what you asked me, and so I go through and I thought, man, I'm just spinning my wheels. We've gone through hundreds of cases over the course of these years doing the show, right? And I mean, how many of the cases that we say get overturned or don't get overturned? I mean, there's no one good case. There's a ton of these cases that you should be scared of, right? It's like the Chiarini case has nothing to do with self-defense. It just has. He came out with the guy. I love this case because the Battlestar Galactica, the cop put in his report that Chiarini came out into the parking lot with a gun holster on that looked like he was from Battlestar Galactica, and it came down to remember whether he owned a certain percentage, right, in that condominium parking lot, and because he's there report. This could happen to anybody, right? There's drug dealing going on. There's gang members dealing dope right out of a nice condominium complex, right? Let's say you got Colombians or Cubans. You got, I don't mean to put it. You got some, bad Texans. I don't know who it is, dealing cocaine out of this condominium apartment, and they're bringing in bad characters. And you said, man, what is going on? Why are all these crazy looking people coming to my apartment? And place where this used to be a great place for kids, and now I'm scared because I see crackheads coming in all the time. And you finally figure out it's because these Colombians, Texans, Cubans are dealing dope, right? Bad dope, meth maybe out of place, and that's a fire hazard too. It could blow up cooking meth in the place. Okay, so you call the police. You do a little bit of investigating, and you figure out, hey, right, they're in this apartment 112 over here. Right, they're dealing constantly. I see 30 people going in and out of that place every 2 or 3 hours. Right, they're obviously making a killing, and they're doing it at the cost and expense of the lives and safety of me and the other residents of this place. So you call the police, and instead of investigating the drug dealers, they arrest you because you're carrying a weapon on your side in the parking lot.
That's a perfect example of what I was trying to say. Okay, and you reiterated it so well. It was so great because all those people that you told the first time have forgotten. But now they heard it again, and it's going to get in their brain. You can do something you think is right, and like you just said, you can get screwed for it.
And he's thinking, you're going to arrest me when I'm trying to tell you these people are dangerous right here. That's why I have the gun in the first place. Because I if something hot happens, I want to have your back, officer.
Do you know what U.S. Code 1983 is?
Yeah, that's when you sue some federal officer for violating your civil rights.
Can that ever come to play? When somebody stupid like that doesn't look at the whole picture, the whole situation, takes away my rights because they're an idiot.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's several cases every year, hundreds, thousands of cases to sue under 1983. Right, but generally speaking, I told you about how difficult it is to sue, and this is why the Fourth Amendment is useless. And this is why a lot of the times the courts will go, well, you may have lost under the Fourth Amendment, but you can still sue the police officer. Well, what kind of jury is going to help you out under the Fourth Amendment if they think that the courts didn't even help you out in a criminal case? I mean, look, I'm not saying that it can't happen, and I don't do 1983 cases, even though, we've done a couple of civil rights cases, but I mean, it's really not that strong of a statute. It's not something that I would maybe it's a safety net, but I don't think it's one that you should count on.
I go ballistic when somebody's ignorance affects my rights. If you got an opinion, that's one thing. But if your ignorance to a topic then now jeopardizes my rights, I go ballistic.
So the courts are going to ask, was it clearly established law? That's one of the factors. Okay, if it was clearly established law, like if the United States Supreme Court, right, had said this was the rule, or there was a clear Supreme Court case, or maybe in the state, maybe it doesn't have to be a Supreme Court case in Texas regards. It would not regards it regarding the courts of Texas. That would be the Court of Criminal Appeals. That's the highest criminal court here. Or you have just maybe not a Supreme Court case, but you have the vast majority, right, of appellate courts have said this rule. Unless you have that, it's probably not going to be clearly established. And so a police officer is going to be able to make an excuse. Well, I didn't really know how to interpret that rule because there wasn't a United States Supreme Court case, which is unlikely. I mean, when you talk about all the state laws, it's unlikely you're going to have a United States Supreme Court case interpreting that one specific rule, right? Then it's probably unlikely you're going to have a Supreme Court case, right, interpreting that one specific rule, okay? And then there's another one, there a good lawyer used to tell me one time, and I'll have to say his name, Kirby King in Rockdale. He still practices. Kirby King told me one time, because I was a young lawyer, I thought I was going to beat him. I was going to go in there. I said, Kirby, I got this case that says this. He's like, really? I got a case that says this. You're going to learn, young man. You can find a case that pretty much says anything you want it to say.
That makes the person in the courtroom who's having the attorney help him feel pretty sick at this moment. I'm thinking to myself, here I got this awesome attorney, but there's another guy out there who's going to spin it around, and I got to worry about 12 ignorant people who don't know whatever. Okay, I don't want to say it. And my life depends on these 12 people being persuaded by which one of you guys are better.
Right. And so, I mean, it's right. You got cases.
That's why, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to court, you want this guy on your side. He somehow, some way persuades me to think certain ways.
I don't know about that. You're stubborn as anybody. Anyway,
you're very persuasive.
You and Rick Dodd, y'all too. No, I'm just playing. So where's Rick? You talked about haven't seen me in a while. We need to get Rick on here.
He was here last week, wasn't he? No, he was here 2 weeks ago.
Oh, he was. Okay, then I've been slacking. All right. So look. So the thing here is, we've just got to make sure that if we're gonna test the police officer in this situation, that it's a clear case. Right, because if it's not clearly established law or something to that effect, they're always going to have an excuse.
Okay, first of all, I'm not here bashing law enforcement. I love law enforcement. I'm just saying when you have a law enforcement officer who's ignorant and hasn't done their homework and it affects my rights, I get a little pissed off. Okay.
And sometimes the police officers do things too, not just because they misinterpret or they're ignorant. Sometimes the ignorance of the person that's involved in the situation makes the police officers react in certain ways that they wouldn't otherwise do so. And so that's what I'm saying.
No comment.
you should not, right, when you're in one of those cases, okay, if this happens, right, you should not be the reason. Right, that's what I was trying to say. In a DWI case, in a stop, whatever it is that you do, right, I wish Dixon was here right now. He would probably comment on this. If you would just say yes sir and no sir, and like do what they say, and they got out of line, 1983 case would be all yours. You would have a 1983 case.
Explain it clearly.
Well, because you think about it.
Amen.
There he is. See, right there. I've been waiting on him.
Come on in, Chief.
Give
me a mic, Luke.
He can tell you. A lot of times, what the police officers do in certain cases,
sure,
right, is based off of a reaction that was escalated or some reason from the person that's involved in the stop. And so a lot of times, if you just say yes sir, no sir, whatever, even if maybe you're somewhat suspicious, the officer may even just let you go because you're being so nice. He really doesn't have any other reason except for his suspicion, and he's not confident in his own suspicion. Okay, so he's thinking this guy's kind of suspicious, but he's not really giving me any other reason.
So as soon as a guy who's stopped gets cocky and starts mouthing off, forget it.
Now the cop knows he's gonna have an excuse, right? The judge is gonna see this, and the judge is gonna say, "Man, you're being a you know what?" Like, I mean, no jury's gonna give you damages, right? If the jury feels like you don't deserve it.
That's right, Chief. What do you think on this?
90% of every police officer stop now is videotaped, and
Well,
if a judge
supposed to be.
if a judge or a jury sees the defendant, acting like a jerk, that's going to have a tremendous impact. The side of the street's not where to argue at.
Exactly.
That's what I teach them in the class.
That's a good one-liner.
When you get stopped by a cop, the objective is to get out of the traffic stop as soon as possible. If you start mouthing off, talking back, not doing what he requests, you're just aching for something else to happen. So be respectful to the badge, even if you don't like the person. It's the badge. Just like you don't like Trump out there, some of you, it doesn't matter. Respect the office. Okay, that's what I did 8 years at a certain time frame, but I won't get into that. Now,
and that's what we spoke about. That's why it's good to know, right, the laws to a self-defense. It's good to go to the LTC classes and learn all of these rules because if something did happen, right? Look, who knows? I'm not going to be able to tell you what a police officer, any certain police officer, be able to interpret in any kind of given case. That's actually, that's obviously going to be a fact by fact, case by case basis. But I think that there's no doubt that if you know what's going on and you can elicit what you did in your steps, you can express the steps that you took, the method that you followed, and taking the course of actions that you took, and you're able to explain why you did this. Right, it's going to make it a lot more clear to the police officer and give everybody a whole lot more calming effect to say, okay, this person was really did this in self-defense, instead of you not being able to comprehend what just happened and you being frantic and you not really understanding the legal aspects of the circumstances, and so you're nervous, right, and you're just running 100 miles an hour at the mouth and not able to give the police officer a consistent story, right? I think there's no question, right, how the two of those are going to play out, right? One's going to play out with you either going in for further questioning or you being charged, right? And the other one's probably going to play out the police officer maybe goes back, maybe calls you for just some follow-up on a report, but at the end of the day, they're making this clear that this was a self-defense case to the DA and them never presenting it to the grand jury.
Okay.
Most common sense tells most officers, and I'm going to say most, I'm not going to say all of them, they go out to a scene like that, a situation, which I heard y'all describe earlier about the dope dealer. Most cops they're going to say, appreciate what you do, but you're going to have that one, and there is going to be one that's going to be a rectum orifice.
Chief, don't you get the higher ups that aren't the same mental attitude as that one who pull them to the side and say, what the hell's the matter with you?
If let's put it this way, if the higher ups, the people who supposedly run that department, don't do that, then they don't need to be running that department. That's my.
I won't go
2
any
cents.
further. Now,
Hey, I'm glad that he said it. If
now I
said it,
want
I'd
to
be-
go over something you said
they'd come after me.
concerning about the drug dealer and this guy's getting hassled with the concealed carry, but there's a drug dealer out there. You're in a court of law, okay? Wouldn't you agree? And tell me if you don't, and then I know you will. While you're in there and you're talking, the attorney's talking, and you're making these comments, they're doing meth. Not only this, that, and the other, but it could have caused a fire. It could have exploded. And because of those key words and phrases, you've just implanted seeds into the jury thinking, oh, now this person's even more evil, even though it has nothing to do with the specific crime at hand. Doesn't that happen a lot?
Well, yeah.
Manipulation of the jury? So that's what I was saying. A story that is, or a
Strong
case,
words.
a case that's
Strong
open and
words.
closed with a good attorney can implant prejudice into the jury to make the guy end up being guilty. You see, I know that can happen. That's why I shut my mouth. I have a long or a high tolerance level before I pull out a gun or something like that. It's like you're going to almost have to kill me before I do this because I know the ramifications that's going to happen if I do it.
Okay, so you're I'm not saying you're wrong by any stretch of the means.
Well, I hope
that lawyers can manipulate some of the things that happen. That happens, okay? But you forget that witnesses and clients manipulate the facts as well. So if we don't manipulate the facts, how can we know who's telling the truth?
Let me say something.
So no, I
I
promise
want
you.
I want you on my side
I know.
because I know you can do it in a favorable way towards me. I'm just saying I want the people out there to know there's going to be an attorney out there who's going to want to lock you up because it's going to make them look good, and because of the manipulation of words, you can put a perception in somebody's
But
mind.
what I want to make clear is you better have an attorney who can do that, because witnesses are going to manipulate the facts to make them look
Yes.
good as well. And so that's why we allow leading questions on cross-examination.
Explain what that is.
So, in other words, if you're my own witness and you're the plaintiff in the case, hey, I'm getting notes here that I can't talk about on the air. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to. I got sidetracked. But let's say this: if you got your own witness and say Rick Dodds suing somebody for a traffic accident or any medical malpractice, any kind of personal injury case, right? When he puts his witness on the stand, he's not gonna be able to say, and you got hit and it hurt here and it did this. He can't put the answer in their mouth. He's gonna have to ask them open-ended questions like, where were you? What happened? How did that make you feel? What else did you see? What else did you hear? What else, what else were the senses that were at play during those circumstances?
Because normally a person might not add those to a conversation.
It needs to be the witness's true testimony, not Rick's testimony. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, I'm sure Rick, being a good lawyer, is probably going to try to throw some facts in there. He's probably going to try to do that, but the other side should object. Objection, judge, leading question. He can't ask that on direct examination. Now,
don't they do that sometimes, knowing they're going to get that response, but then it already has been laid out and you can't erase
yes,
it?
there's strategy. There's sometimes we want to do that to make the jury get emphasize that fact to the jury. Yeah. I let it judge, but here I'll just re-ask it now and let her answer like I just told her to answer. Okay, so but I'm not saying Rick's bad. I'm just saying that's good lawyering. Okay, but at the same time, leading would then be when the other side gets up, right? They're going to be able to go, yeah, but you actually saw the light was red, didn't you? You actually knew that this wasn't the situation because there were these other facts. Okay, and that's leading. Okay, that's going to be, right? You're not asking open-ended. You're telling them what their answer is going to be.
Right.
Okay, and we get to do that because if we had to think about it, trying to get somebody to tell the truth if they're a liar on the stand, and you ask what happened, and we couldn't ask them any other way, but they'd tell us whatever they wanted to.
That's right.
And so if we couldn't go into, could this have happened? Could this be plausible? Could you have thought about this? Right? We can't really break down their mind frame.
That's right.
And we can't get to the truth.
That's why, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about this just to say that what you think may be easy can be twisted and manipulated in a way that may not look good for you. And there's all these different ins and outs. That's why it's so important to go to aaronsgunshop.com, go to the YouTube channel, look at all these videos. You're crazy if you don't. It's free. It's free from fantastic attorneys to give you explanations of law, opinion, advice, whatever. Because they can give advice. They're attorneys. I'm not. I can only just talk out the mouth whatever comes to the top of my head.
And you say, I don't typically like asking, well, is it possible? Right? I don't really like those questions. But sometimes when you have a witness that gives you absolutely nothing, they're just trying to act like this was very factually clear, right? You give them an extreme circumstance, right? And then if you are able to give them enough extreme circumstances, right? Then you're able to show, hey, this wasn't so black and white, right? And once they admit to those, right, they're not going to be able to admit that it was the other extreme. And or if they do, then you're going to say, well, then what separated, right, this situation that you knew for a fact that none of these other variables could have came into play versus these others? Have you ever dealt with this situation before? How many times? Have you run statistics, right, on this situation to show that, this was one of them where you could be guaranteed that these other possibilities would not have arisen, right, versus you were sure? So, I mean, what makes this so where you were so certain this time? So sometimes it's important to use those techniques. I don't like it when the people are just being absolutely unreasonable on the stand.
It's I can't tell you how much I personally enjoy this segment every week because it's so enlightening to me. I get to sit next to two guys who know what the heck they're talking about, and I get very enlightened. I can relay some of this to my students to understand, the seriousness of certain matters and how you should watch out for this and watch out for that. So I think it's great. Time's a ticking here. Ross, tell everybody how they get a hold of you.
105 East Main Street. If you want an appointment in Houston or Brazos County, you can give me a call at 254-605-4140, 254-605-4140. If you have questions about the show, email me, benton@watson.legal. That's benton@watson.legal. But make sure you give your phone number. We do get a bunch of questions through email, but we like to call you sometimes about it. And if I can't get to you through email, it's really helpful to have your phone number.
Sounds great. Can't thank you enough. Rick, thanks a lot for sponsoring the show. Copeland & Dodd Krebs Law Firm and respectforyou.com. So let's take it out with respect. And thanks, Ross. Appreciate you coming here.
Appreciate you, Dix.
And we'll
Yes,
see
sir.
you next Saturday, I hope. Or either you or Rick.
All right.
Go.
Thank you, guys.